Okay, imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, grab your phone,
Hmm.
open Facebook, and your friend list.
It's
Just
nuts.
gone. Yeah.
Whoa.
Not like you were unfriended or people deactivated. Nope. Wiped clean.
Just
Erased.
a total blank slate. That's quite a thought.
It is. And here's the really wild part. This wasn't just some, shower thought.
Oh,
It looks like Mark Zuckerberg himself actually seriously floated this idea.
Zuckerberg did, seriously.
Seriously. And we know because it surfaced in court documents
Right.
from Meta's big antitrust trial that's going on.
Wow. Okay, so this wasn't just like brainstorming on a whiteboard somewhere. This got discussed.
Exactly.
Got
And
it.
that's what we're diving into today. We really want to unpack what this kind of social reset would actually mean
Right, for users, for the platform itself.
for your connections, yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole sort of social media world. And I think crucially, why? Why did this idea even get proposed?
Because it feels like more than just a tech story, doesn't it? It's about, well, our digital lives and relationships.
It absolutely is. It makes you think about how much we rely on these connections just being there.
And how fragile they might actually be. Erasing friend lists, that goes right to the heart of Facebook's whole social graph, that network connecting everyone.
Okay, so let's get into this idea. Zuckerberg himself apparently called it potentially crazy, which,
He called it that himself.
yeah. This came out of an internal email back in 2022 that got revealed because of the FTC case against Meta.
Okay, so 2022, what was going on then? Why even think about something so drastic?
Well, the reason given in the email, apparently, was this feeling inside the company that Facebook was, and this is the quote, losing relevance.
Losing relevance. So this was seen as a way to, what, shake things up?
Big time. Like a massive shock to the system. A way to re-engage people who maybe weren't posting as much or were drifting off to, other apps.
So it wasn't about adding a new feature or tweaking the algorithm. This was fundamental.
Totally. And the core idea, this crazy plan, was basically forcing everyone to start over, rebuild their connections from scratch.
Right. So the logic was if you wipe everyone's friends, people would have to get back on the platform, search for their friends, send requests, rebuild their network.
And all that activity, searching, scrolling, liking, commenting as you reconnect, that boosts engagement metrics.
Exactly. More time on site. That was the theory anyway.
It's bold, I'll give that. But potentially crazy, as Zuckerberg said. Yeah, that feels right, too.
You don't often hear a CEO admit an idea about their core product might be crazy.
No, but, losing relevance?
Yeah.
Is that really enough to justify blowing up everyone's friend list? Couldn't they, try something less hostile to users?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It really suggests a level of maybe internal panic about where Facebook was headed.
Yeah, like the usual tricks weren't working anymore.
Possibly. When you're reaching for an idea that extreme, it does imply that maybe the standard playbook for boosting engagement wasn't cutting it.
Okay, so let's try and really picture it. For you, listening right now, you open Facebook tomorrow, expecting cat videos, baby pictures, maybe some news.
Yeah, the usual stuff.
Right. And instead, nothing. Just white space. No feed. No friend requests waiting. No birthday reminders.
Yeah.
Just emptiness. And maybe a little box saying, start making connections.
The immediate feeling would just be lost, right? All that social capital you've built up over years.
Gone instantly.
It's like a digital ghost town. All those people, old school friends, work contacts, family overseas, poof, gone from that specific space.
And it's not just the list of people, is it? It's everything tied to them.
Exactly. The history.
Shared photos, comments on big life events, those little back and forth that happened years ago but are still there.
Yeah, for so many people, Facebook is like a digital diary. Or a photo album.
A memory vault.
A memory vault, yeah. Or even a lifeline sometimes for keeping up with people far away.
So wiping that, it wouldn't just be annoying. It'd be a real psychological shock for a lot of users. Like losing part of your personal history.
Definitely. Think about those friendships, the ones you mostly maintain online.
Yeah, the long-distance ones.
Suddenly, that easy connection is just broken. You'd have to actively hunt them down again, maybe text them if you even have their number outside of Facebook.
Which is exactly the effort the plan wanted to force, I guess.
Right. But the emotional cost, the disruption, it just seems massive.
Totally. And, okay, let's zoom out a bit. It's not just us regular users. What about the whole influencer world?
Oh, yeah. The creator economy.
People who've built entire careers, huge followings on Facebook. What happens to them in this scenario?
It would be absolutely catastrophic. instantly devastating.
Just zeroed out overnight.
Completely. Think about like a food blogger or a fashion person with hundreds of thousands of followers. They spend years building that audience.
Building trust, engagement.
Exactly. Trust, loyalty, recognition, all gone. Back to square one. It just highlights how vulnerable creators are if the platform pulls the rug out.
And it's not just the big names, right?
Right.
What about like small local businesses?
Oh, definitely. Lots of them rely on Facebook groups, to connect with customers, build a local community.
Announce events, run specials.
All that stuff. If the connections underpinning those groups disappear, the groups become useless, pretty much. They just have to hope people find them and rejoin.
And the money side of it. For creators, for businesses.
Huge hit. Their whole ability to make money online often depends directly on how many people see their stuff, interact with it. That audience is the asset.
Which is built on those friend connections. It's not just about likes, it's the network.
And don't forget Facebook's own ads. A huge part of their targeting relies on knowing who's connected to whom, right? The social graph.
Good point. If you reset the graph.
Your ad targeting gets a lot less effective, at least for a while. It weakens their whole pitch to advertisers.
So yeah, this crazy idea suddenly looks less like a feature tweak and more like a potential digital earthquake.
It really does. Which brings us back to that question. Was this some kind of bold, radical innovation, or was it desperation?
That feels like the key thing.
Yeah.
We know Facebook's been facing challenges.
Right. TikTok's huge rise, Instagram maybe hitting a saturation point, WhatsApp being massive, but not really an ad platform in the same way.
And Facebook itself, the main platform, just isn't growing like it used to, especially with younger people. They're not flocking to it.
So you connect those dots, and this idea, it could look like a sign of maybe existential panic.
Like they were genuinely worried about the future.
When a company that big considers something that disruptive, it suggests, a deep unease about where things are going, about staying dominant.
And you can't really ignore the timing either. This discussion is happening while Meta's fighting that huge antitrust case.
Right, where they're being accused of basically buying or copying competitors instead of innovating organically.
So does an idea like hitting the reset button on everyone's friends look like innovation? Or does it maybe feed that narrative? That they're struggling to come up with genuinely new ways to keep people engaged?
It certainly raises the question, is real innovation about creating something new people want? Or is it sometimes about trying to force a reset when growth stalls, this friend wipe idea? It feels more like the second one.
Yeah, less like a clever strategy, more like a Hail Mary pass in football.
Exactly. A really drastic option you only consider when the clock's running out and the usual plays aren't working.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this idea that nearly happened, let's bring it back to everyone listening. If Facebook actually did it tomorrow, wiped your friends, would you honestly bother rebuilding that list?
Would you go through the effort? Find everyone again?
Or would you just say, you know what? Maybe this is my chance. And log off for good.
And that choice, whatever you'd personally do, it kind of gets right to the heart of this modern tech tension, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, these connections we have online, they feel real, they represent real relationships, real history.
But they exist on these platforms,
Right.
governed by algorithms, company decisions.
Exactly. They're digital, but they're still deeply human. There's a weird conflict there.
There really is. Well, thanks for diving deep into this one with us.
Yeah, this was a fascinating what if.
For more deep dives into the tech stories that affect us, definitely subscribe, follow along.
We try to unpack this stuff, give you the context behind the headlines.
Until next time,
Yeah.
stay connected. But maybe, just maybe, keep a backup of those essential contacts somewhere else.
Yeah. Good advice. You never really know.